Not the staff, not the plagues, not the people, not the weight. If you think I stood on mountaintops feeling powerful, you're wrong. I was tired most of the time, tired of leading, tired of questions, tired of feeling like I had to hear from God when everyone else stayed silent. I didn't ask for this. I ran from it. I told him no. I told him I wasn't the right man. I stuttered. I stumbled. I was scared. He didn't care. He said go. So I went. And every step since then I've carried something heavy. Responsibility. Expectation. The voices of people who wanted a way out, not a way forward. They thought I had answers. I didn't. Half the time I was guessing. The other half I was begging God to show up. And he did. But not always the way I hoped. I'm not telling you this so you feel sorry for me. I'm telling you because people look back at my story like I was some kind of giant. I wasn't. I was a man, flawed, afraid, angry, and still, he used me. That's the part I still don't understand. Why me? Why keep choosing me after all the things I got wrong? But he did. And I kept walking, even when it hurt, even when I didn't want to anymore. They pulled me from the water like I was a gift. I should have drowned. Instead, I grew up in gold, Egyptian clothes, Egyptian food, Egyptian name. But I knew I wasn't one of them. Not really. The woman who raised me called me son. But she wasn't my mother. The slaves building cities, they looked like me. I watched them through windows, watched them get hit, spit on, and used. And I said nothing. I ate well while they starved. I slept warm while they froze. And every time I looked in the mirror, I saw both. Both sides. I hated it. I didn't know where I belonged. Too Hebrew to be Egyptian, too Egyptian to be Hebrew. So I lived in between, silent. Until the day I couldn't be silent anymore. He was beating him. A slave. One of mine. Like he wasn't even human. And something snapped. I didn't plan it. I just moved. And when it was over, the Egyptian was dead. My hands were covered in it. The blood, the rage, the truth. I buried him in the sand, but nothing stays buried forever. Not guilt. Not mistakes. Not who you really are. I didn't pack much. I just ran. I didn't care where. Just away. From Pharaoh. From Egypt. From what I'd done. From who I was. I ended up in Midian. Desert. Quiet. No palaces. No eyes on me. No reminders. Just sand. And a woman who saw something in me I didn't see in myself. I married her. Took care of sheep. Learned to live small. It felt good. Simple. Predictable. For the first time in my life, I wasn't caught between two worlds. I was just a man, a husband, a shepherd. But the past doesn't stay quiet. Not for long. Even in the desert, I heard it. The cries, the groans, the memories. They followed me. Every time I looked at the sheep, I thought about the ones still in chains. And then one day, the fire. A bush burning but not burning up. And a voice. It said my name. Twice.
Moses. Moses.
Not murderer. Not runaway. Not failure. Just Moses. I hadn't heard that name in a long time. Not like that. Not with love in it. And in that moment, everything I thought I left behind came rushing back. The river, the palace, the people, the weight, and I knew the quiet life was over. I didn't say yes. Not right away. I argued. I told him he had the wrong man. I said I couldn't speak, that I wasn't brave, that I didn't even know his name. I asked what if they don't believe me? What if Pharaoh laughs? What if I fail again? I told him I stutter. that I always have, that words don't come easy, that I don't look like a leader, that I'm not holy, that I've killed a man. I listed everything, every reason why I couldn't do this. And he listened. He didn't argue back. He just asked, "Who made your mouth?" That stopped me, because I didn't have an answer. And then he said he would be with me. Not just once, not for a moment, the whole way. He even gave me Aaron, said he'd speak when I couldn't. God didn't change his mind. He just met me where I was. And I knew this wasn't about being ready. It was about being willing. So I went, still scared, still unsure, still carrying all my reasons why I shouldn't be the one. But I went anyway. He didn't choose me because I was strong. He chose me because he wanted to. I still don't understand why. Standing in front of Pharaoh felt like standing in front of death. Same palace, same walls, same air. But I wasn't that man anymore. I opened my mouth and the words came out shaky. "Let my people go." He laughed. Of course he did. Why wouldn't he? I was a shepherd from nowhere, holding a stick, talking like I mattered. But it wasn't about me. It never was. God gave signs. My staff became a snake. Water turned to blood. Frogs, flies, darkness, all of it. But every time Pharaoh said no, something inside me cracked. Not anger, not confusion, just the weight of watching pain unfold. It wasn't just Egypt that suffered. Our people didn't trust me either. They questioned, complained. They asked if I'd made it worse. And maybe I had. I felt stuck between a throne and a promise, between a king who wouldn't listen and a people who were tired of waiting. And I was alone. Every time Pharaoh said no, I wondered if I had heard God wrong, if maybe I wasn't chosen, just mistaken. Then came the last plague, death. Not drama, not noise, just silence. We marked our doors with blood, and we waited. No one slept that night, not in Egypt, not in Goshen. I sat with my sandals on, waiting for freedom to cost what it always does. Everything. I watched a nation groan. I watched a king break. And I still didn't feel like a leader, just a man with a front row seat to something holy. The sea split. The people walked through. And I thought that was the hard part. I was wrong. The wilderness was harder. Not the heat, not the hunger, the people. Every step forward, someone wanted to go back. They missed Egypt, missed slavery, missed the comfort of chains. And I kept leading, even when they blamed me, even when they turned on God. I watched them make a golden calf while I was holding the commandments in my hands. I broke them, the tablets, my patience, and still God stayed. Manna from heaven, water from rocks, clouds, fire. Every day was a miracle. Every day was a test. And I didn't pass all of them. There was a moment, just one, when I struck the rock instead of speaking to it. I was angry, tired, fed up, and that moment cost me everything. God said I wouldn't enter the land. I begged, but he said no. I stood on a mountain and saw it from far away. I led them to the edge, and I watched from a distance. That was enough. Because it wasn't about me. It never was. It was about him, about them, about what comes after. I didn't get to finish, but I was part of the story. That's enough for me. I led them for 40 years, through deserts, doubts, watched them grumble, worship idols, beg to go back to Egypt. I gave everything, and in the end, I wasn't allowed in. God said,
"You'll see the land, but you won't touch it."
I stood on a mountain, looked out, and realized it was never about me. I didn't get to finish, but I was part of the story, and that That was enough.